Hello and welcome to another Star Citizen podcast with me, your host, BoredGamer, and the lovely Zinnia. You may say hello, Zinnia.
Hello, Zinnia.
I was worried you're just going to go, not talk then. You were just going to say nothing. Well, you said, I may say hello, Zinnia. It is the 11th of September, 2023. And we're going to be talking about a few different topics today. Alpha 3.20, prepping for sort of open PTU. Alpha 3.21 versus 4.0 by the end of the year. There's a lot of confusion on this, so I want to talk a little bit about it because we're still moderately confused, or at least I am. The Corsair wins the ship showdown, so we'll talk about the end of the ship showdown, and I just want to have a little a mini rantette about Starfield because I've completed the main story now. You're laughing because you've gone through the Starfield experience with me complaining or being annoyed at bits,
so
but also enjoying bits of it.
I've not started playing it yet, and I'm glad I haven't.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. Let's start with Alpha 3.20 stuff. At the moment, we're in Wave 3. We might be in Wave 4 now. Cloud Imperium keep on saying, we're going to be in Wave... over the weekend and like last week, they were like, we're going to be in Wave 3 soon and maybe straight to Wave 4. And they sort of got to the end of the week and it suddenly went to... eventually went to Wave 3. And they said, oh, it might go to Wave 4 any moment as well. And I'm not sure if we're in Wave 4 yet or not. But Wave 5, that's open PTU. So soon it will be an open PTU, potentially by the end of the week. 3.20 is a huge amount of Arena Commander stuff, but Cloud Imperium have now been showing off and talking about all the polish, all the quality of life, and all the fixes in the patch. And have you seen all these sort of these posts in about quality of life and mission updates and stuff for 3.20?
Not personally, no.
I suppose you edit the videos and listen to me.
I edit the videos and listen to you, yeah.
Why would you need to read them when you've got my lovely dulcet tones to contend with? Contend with? Listen to. Enjoy. Let's go with that.
Yes.
So, yeah, the quality of life stuff, there's just a ton in the patch for the persistent universe. So loads and loads and loads of mission updates, tons and tons of missions improved. They've updated a load of the sort of loadouts and AI difficulty. AI are a lot less derpy as well. They've addressed a ton of problems with potentially desync, but invisible players, stuff like that. So a load of long-running issues have been solved. You can actually read the Mobiglass now a lot better. There's a proper dark underlay under it. That contextual menus that might be behind that would also blind you or confuse you, they go away or get partially obscured when you're reading the Mobiglass. HDR is now enabled, or available if you've got a HDR monitor. There's absolute ton of stuff. They aligned quantum HUDs so that you can actually point at your quantum destination, and it's a lot less fiddly. You see, that's a great one, right?
In the Cutlass, it's always
up above where it should be.
Yeah.
But not anymore. I'm not sure if this might annoy you more, or maybe you just won't care. There's anti-combat logging now as well, so you can't Alt F4 during combat to disappear.
I've never done that, so
well, no,
I just try and run away as quickly as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Well, typically we're fighting mostly NPCs, right? We don't do barely any PvP. But now, if you have just been in combat, or you are still in combat, your character will stay there after you log out. And it will warn you that you're going to stay there after you log out. You need to be in a safe area, one in combat, to basically be safe. So a lot of people are going to be happy with that, because it sort of helps the PvP and piracy gameplay loops actually be real, rather than just something that's very artificial. Blocked calls as well. You can now, they're giving more and more tools to players to be able to deal with annoyance or harassment or play in the way they want. So you can now basically, with comm calls, just go, I only want to receive these from friends, rather than anyone, things like that. So a load of social things, and party requests and all that sort of stuff. You can go, only friends can invite me. So yeah, tons of quality of life. So Zin, what I wanted to ask you is, there's like ticks and then there's talks, like with technology or whatever, with Star Citizen's patches.
Yeah.
And you have big pushes for new technology and new stuff, like with percentage streaming or whatever in a patch, which would be a tick. And then you have a talk, which is effectively this patch, which is a load of bug fixes, quality of life, and polish. Because they've had quite a lot of time with this one, they've been able to get it into a significantly better state than they would otherwise. Now, because of the problems we had with persistent entity streaming and the first half of the year, do you think it's a good idea for them to have a polished patch like this?
Yes.
Yeah? So are you thinking that Cloud Imperium need to focus on pushing technology and then reining it in and making it sort of tight and polished and add that quality of life? Or do you think they should constantly be pushing? Or do you think that's not mutually exclusive?
I think they should be building the technology and then making sure that it works. So they're obviously having to create new things in order to build Star Citizen to their standards.
Yes, there's a load of new features and tech, and they're having to do R&D, and they're having to iterate. There's a constant sort of push and pull online about people saying, look, they want a playable experience, and Cloud Imperium should be adding features, and those features that they add should be already in a moderately refined state, and there shouldn't be terrible polish problems. There shouldn't be sort of this super jank. There shouldn't be this constant push for new stuff that's then going to cause the game to not be playable, basically. Going to have loads of problems. And there's other people. Yeah. And other people are like, no, they should be constantly trying to release a full game, so they need to keep on pushing, adding loads of stuff, and at the end of the process, or closer to the end, then you have, like closer to beta, you have a big sort of bug and polish cleanup thing. And then there's obviously some people that think they should do TikTok, which is sort of push tech, then iterate and refine, and then have a nice polished patch. Obviously, Cloud Imperium's and Star Citizen's development cycle, incredibly long, very, very slow.
It's hard to tell what's going to work best.
Mm-hmm.
So what might work best is literally build the technology, keep pushing that out, even if it breaks, even if it causes a terrible experience, because in the long run, it'll be quicker, because then, like you say, they'll just tie it all up at the end. But it might actually be quicker to do the whole TikTok thing, where they push for a new technology and then they refine it and make it work.
What I will say is it's definitely better for their
finances.
So their monetization during development. So development as a service, which is effectively what Cloud Imperium are doing, works really well with how they're doing it. They go, we've got a playable alpha, and we keep on adding to that, and we keep on adding more ships and all that sort of stuff. As we develop the game, you are involved in that process. And a lot of people are really hooked by that alpha and development process. They want a full game, but they're actually quite involved in the development now in some ways, or the drama of it. And I think a lot of players will feel like they're missing something when we do have a full game, because there won't be that sort of same level of frontier development, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, Cloud Imperium almost certainly will continue to develop the game and add loads more features well beyond its actual full release.
It's a fine line, because obviously you want your consumers to want to consume and want to spend money, but at the same time, you kind of want the game to get complete at some point, obviously.
Yes.
And like you said, like they don't really have investors. We're technically the investors, that we fund them, the majority at least, I believe.
So almost entirely funded by us backers, by people putting money in. There's a little bit of money, just a little bit, just like 42 million or so from the Calder brothers, Colders.
But yeah, so technically they are beholden to us, and it's a fine line to walk. It's like, so we want a game, so they're trying to give us a game, but at the same time we also want something that we can play, so they're also trying to do that. It's tricky for them.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a balancing act. And as you said, what might be best? We don't know what might be best. They don't know what might be best.
They don't know, yeah.
It's impossible to compare it once they're doing it in a particular way, right? Because they don't have a time machine, and they can't look at the parallel worlds. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to playing 3.20, because it's got some cool Arena Commander stuff in, although it doesn't have multi-crew for Arena Commander yet, which is a bit shame it got pushed off, but hopefully next patch. But there's, tons of quality of life for the Persistent Universe, loads of mission stuff. It should be a much better experience, and they've got rid of a ton of long-standing bugs. Hopefully those will hold into the live build. Moving on slightly, what do you think of that new Fury LX, that variant of the Fury, the racing one?
It looks cool. I've not really done much racing. It is something I would like to try.
We'll do some racing as well. We'll do some filming of racing. I'm terrible at racing. I'm not a massive fan of it. It's pretty, and I think I'd like to do it with a load of people I know, that are all also bad at racing. Yeah, I love the look of the Fury LX. It's got no weapons, but it does have cool racing paint, and it has some weird racing-y wings as well. Yeah, a cool looking ship, and a lot of people will be like, "Oh, they're releasing another ship." Yep, they are. That's their monetization model. They constantly do that, and they will do lots more, whether you complain about it or not. Something I was a bit confused about, Sin, and still am.
Yeah?
It's the Alpha 3.21 versus Alpha 4.0 debate. And I say debate quite loosely. So let me explain what's going on. There were some leaks a while ago from Star Citizen Leaks that said potentially Alpha 4.0 was on track for the end of the year in some form. So it's going out to players, whether that's going to be a PTU patch or live, almost certainly a PTU, might even be Ivacati or whatever. But that basically suggests that there wasn't going to be a 3.21 patch, because 4.0 by end of year, right?
Yeah.
However, in the latest roadmap update from the community manager, Jacob Cabela, he basically replied to a question saying that QA test requests need to go out before adding Alpha 3.21's features to the roadmap.
Okay.
Now, that suggests that there is going to be a 3.21 patch rather than a 4.0 patch by the end of the year.
Yeah.
That's a bit confusing, because a while ago I was like, 4.0 is going to be out by the end of the year. Then heard a couple of things about 3.21. I was like, oh, so there's definitely going to be a 3.21 by the end of the year, and 4.0 later, maybe 4.0 in sort of very limited testing or something. Then we had 4.0 by the end of the year, sort of rumours and leaks. So again, take all this sort of stuff with a grain of salt, especially when it's rumours, especially when it's leaks. Even if it is the plan, stuff changes. And then, obviously, in the roadmap update, again, recently, we've heard that potentially there's a 3.21. So what is true? And the answer is we don't know.
We don't know.
It's quite possible both might be true, or that 3.21 is just a code name for 4.0, and if 4.0's features are ready, as in specifically server meshing, pyro, jump points, then 3.21 and 4.0 become the same thing. And it's also possible that we might have just limited 4.0 testing with Ivacati or something like that by the end of the year, but also a 3.21 patch.
It could be a case of, like you say, they're kind of the same thing. Like, essentially, 3.21 is there just in case 4.0 doesn't make it. Yep.
And that makes sense, because anytime Cloud Imperium have that's planned to get 4.0 by the end of the year, as we've seen for several years in a row, that doesn't happen. And it still leaves me waiting for Pyro. So we don't know for sure. We will talk about both eventualities, but it's sort of irrelevant, because 4.0 really just means that the patch will include pyro, server meshing, and jump points. And 3.21's features would merge into 4.0 if it became 4.0 by the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One day we'll see Vulkan integration as well in the game. Maybe that's for 4.0. Who knows? That's such a mystery feature now. I was expecting it for so long. Something else that's going on, well, that's now passed. The Corsair's in. It won the Ship Showdown.
Yay.
Did you expect it to win the Ship Showdown?
I think, yeah. I wanted the Vulture to win, but...
Okay. The Vulture came second, and I would have preferred Cloud Imperium to put the Vulture in-game to be able to be purchased several months ago. Purchasable in-game, that the Vulture should have been, and I think that would actually...
You mean when it was supposed to be in-game and purchasable?
Well, they sort of suggest that it wasn't, but it should have been in months ago to be purchased in-game. It's going to be purchasable in 3.20, finally. So I love the Corsair. I think it's a great multi-role mission-running ship. I prefer the Mercury Star Runner, but they're relatively close. It's like Corsair maybe my third favourite ship or something. Vulture, absolutely fantastic salvage ship. And obviously the others that came in the top four are the Redeemer and the 600i Explorer. Not a massive fan of the 600i. I'm sort of waiting for its rework. Redeemer, awesome gunship.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the top four there are relatively well deserved. I'm glad we didn't get like the Terrapin or something like that, or the Cargo Argo in the top four, because I don't personally think they deserve to be there. But I'm always willing to go with what the majority of people want to go with, because that's how popularity contest works, and democracy at this scale. You go vote for it and then accept the votes, and if you don't like it, well, you don't like it. It's still not going to change anything. But that's the end of the Ship Showdown this year. The Corsair, however, is going to be flyable for everyone until the 30th. try the Corsair out. It's cool. And those 4 ships will also get skins and posters and things like that at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo made for them. And if you have them in your hangar at that point, you will get those things. Starfield Zin.
Oh, dear.
So Zin's been listening to me complain about things with Starfield and read reviews on Starfield and be like, what the hell? I hate people giving something 10 out of 10 or 100 out of 100.
Or 5 stars out of 5 stars.
5 out of 5, because it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing to say. Especially when reviews start with, okay, one was 100 out of 100, 100%. Starfield is far from a perfect game. 100 out of 100. That's how the review starts. Oh, that annoys me. So I'm just as annoyed for people that give it like the minimum as well, 1 out of 10 or 0 out of 10 or whatever, because it's not. It's certainly unless they've taken your money and the game won't run, then that's the only reason it deserves a 0 out of a 10 or whatever. So I've been reading like stuff on Metacritic and stuff, and I think on Metacritic it's got like a 6.1 user review. What's it got on Xbox at the moment? Let's have a look. 2.7 out of 5.
Oh god, it's going down.
It's not that bad. I maybe some people are having problems with actually running it.
So on the console, it is very buggy, and these are going to be a mix of console and PC reviews.
Okay. I know that a lot of people are having problems running it on lower spec PCs as well. So let's say that you can play Starfield and you've got a relatively good PC, and your experience is no sort of game-breaking bugs, yeah? Now, I've completed the main story in Starfield, and some of the side stories. There's a reasonable amount to do in Starfield, but it is Skyrim, it is Fallout 4 in space, right? That is all it is. The spaceship combat is terrible, yeah? It's not even pretty.
Yeah.
It's mostly about building bases, flying around. It's not really about flying around. That's the thing. The space element of flying around in your ship is very minimal, and is I feel that it's got the least amount of development time. There's no skill really to the space combat at all. You're flying around, you're aiming at stuff, and you're just holding left and right click, sometimes pressing G to fire a missile, or whatever, however you've set your ship up. It's more about, is your ship powerful enough? Have you got the right skills? Have you built your ship right? And how many of your ship repairs do you need to use in the combat? Now, please tell me if I'm missing something, like there's some sort of deep spaceship combat going on. But I said in a recent video, I prefer the spaceship combat quite significantly to Call of Duty Infinite Warfare than I do in Starfield. So the space exploration element of in your spaceship flying around and the space combat, very minimal. It's just this is how I'm traveling. I see something in space, I might want to dock with it. But most of the game is spent you shooting stuff on the ground, at least it was for me, and fast traveling and lots of loading screens. So fast travel pretty much everywhere. You can sort of skip a load of stuff, and some people might really love that. Obviously, I like the immersion in Star Citizen, but I played the games for very different reasons. I can get into Starfield and do a mission or go explore on a planet pretty quick and pretty easily, and go, I want to do some weird thing, I'll just go land over here. I know they're going to generate some procedural content, which is probably pretty cool. And I say procedural, it's not fully procedural. They sort of drop in a load of, or often there'll be some very interesting prefabs or whatever they drop in. But my original review of Starfield would have been given it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. That's moved up to probably closer to an 8 after about 12 to 14 hours of play. The story got a lot better. I was much more compelled and interested in playing it. But it did take me about 12 hours to get into it, and it was a chore before that.
There are people like our friend Kitsune said that she had a friend, she's like, oh, I'm not really enjoying it that much. And they said something along the lines of, well, you haven't earned the chance to like it yet, or something like that, because she hadn't put the hours into it. Skyrim,
fantastic opening. Great, got me straight into it.
Oh, I honestly couldn't get into Skyrim.
Okay, you're not massively into fantasy games, though, are you?
No, I don't like wizards and stuff like that.
I don't like wizards.
I don't like wizards.
What about space wizards? You don't like Jedi either, do you? Not. No. Yeah, okay. Doesn't like wizards. That's You don't want to have to play a game that it takes you that long to get into. I want to be held and captured by it immediately. And I think Starfield suffers quite a lot from quite a weak opening. However, the New Game Plus and the storyline is quite good, eventually. Well, yeah, I mean, I would give recommendations and things I wish I knew before playing Starfield, but they would all be spoilers. Yeah, it's not fair to compare it to Star Citizen at all. I think a lot of people would prefer No Man's Sky over Starfield. A lot of people that want to play Star Citizen stuff aren't going to like Starfield much. Or they're certainly not going to get the same sort of stuff out of Starfield. Starfield's a good game, though, worth playing if you like sort of Elder Scrolls or Fallout experiences. You'll like this. But the spaceship stuff is pretty poor, in my opinion. And people are more than welcome to disagree with me. Yeah, it's got reasonable gunplay. Stuff's a lot less spongy once you've got some skills up as well. But you still have relatively spongy enemies. I'm more powerful than this guy. I take 1,000,000 shots to kill. Okay. Well, he's a boss. Yeah, it's alright. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I played it. I might play it a bit more.
Are there particularly egregious bugs? Like, is there stuff that, or just like ruined your your gameplay experience?
So I got carried off. I was trying to steal some ships. Yeah. So ran onto a ship on a planet, and the ship door closed behind me. It took off and ejected me through the walls of the ship when I got into almost orbit. So I fell down to the planet. But fortunately, I've got a jump pack, so I was good. Fine.
So it's unlike Star Citizen, where if you fall through a ship, you're dead.
You dead. So you can survive in that. There's weird similar bugs in Starfield as well. So NPCs standing on chairs and tables. That is a problem in Starfield as well. Not as much in Starfield, admittedly. NPCs are super derpy. They understand that there is an enemy and they will try and find it occasionally, but there's no tactics to them, from what I can tell. I had enemy ships spawn in an asteroid once, and the asteroid moved agilely around the battlefield. This giant asteroid, because there was a ship in the middle of it. I was like, oh, I can still shoot the ship and everything, so it was fine. There's not a huge amount of bugs that I noticed. Okay. A lot of people saying it's like a super buggy experience. I didn't think so.
I'm just wondering if it's something that I should wait a little bit maybe before playing, or just go, I'll just go for it.
Definitely when it was like No Man's Sky, I would have said yes. This is, if they could give you a bit of a better running start. I mean, they're not going to be able to do this. They'd have to rewrite the start of the game. I think it's worth just playing whenever. Sort of, it might get a few more bug fixes and stuff. I didn't find it heavily buggy. I know some people are constantly crashing with it. I had one crash for the whole experience. Not as buggy as people are saying, at least from my experience. But it might just be that I'm so... I've been beaten around the head with Star Citizen's bugs so much that bugs might be staring me in the face, and I'll be just like, oh, that's fine. I could get around that. They've lost a bit of the magic with the narrative storytelling with objects and locations, which I loved with Bethesda games and that sort of stuff. Now they've just gone, well, we can have 1,000 props in each room. They can put props everywhere, each individually movable, lootable, and has physics attached to it. And that's sort of lost a bit to me, that previously every object felt like it told a part of the story.
Yeah.
But now there's 1,000 folders and notepads that are unwritten on. It feels like it lost a bit of magic there. But yeah, it's a compelling story. There's a load of cool side stuff to do. I'm not overly... now that I've completed the main storyline and done some of the side stuff, I'm not hugely looking forward to keep on playing it. I'm probably going to play Baldur's Gate 3 again and Cyberpunk again before I go back to Starfield.
Yeah.
And look for other co-op games, because I think we're going to play Roots of Patcher, and there's some other games that I've had on my radar for a while. I probably want to play Demonologist and the new Phasmophobia stuff as well.
Oh, God, yeah.
You say, oh, God, yeah, but we both know that we hate bits of those games. Like, genuinely, we like the social experience and the fact that we can hide behind our friends. But I mean, I'm going to be a big brave boy and enjoy it. But yeah, that's all I wanted to really talk about. I think Starfield's worth playing for some people, but it's not a multiplayer game. It's Star Citizen has ship combat. It's very pretty and has a lot of no fast traveling. No fast traveling in Star Citizen. But if you want a more arcadey experience and that Bethesda experience, then Starfield's great. Yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Just a bit.
Just a bit. Thanks very much for watching, guys. It's very much appreciated. Please tell us in the comments below if there's anything that you want us to cover feature-wise or topic-wise. As long as it's Star Citizen or Star Citizen adjacent, we'll talk about it. Feel free to ask us whatever. And tell us what you think about Alpha 3.20. Are you playing in that PT at the moment? When do you think it's going to go to Open PTU? What do you think is going to happen by the end of the year? 3.21 or 4.0? What? Pyro by end of the year? Both? Who knows? Were you liking the fact that the Corsair won the ship showdown? Do you feel like it was stolen from another ship? Do you think that maybe the Mercury Star Runner should have made it past the first part of the second phase? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And say goodbye, Zin.
Goodbye, Zin.
Thanks for watching, guys. Peace. NordVPN is amazing and you should buy it. It's so useful, it's easier to tell you what it can't do. NordVPN can't do your taxes. Nord, how much do I owe for VAT? NordVPN can't help you buy more spaceships. Nord, add a terrapin to my shopping cart. NordVPN can't cook for you. No, my cabbages! And NordVPN can't be your girlfriend. Can't or won't NordVPN, if that is your real name. NordVPN.com/BoredGamer will help you connect to the internet more safely, securely, and anonymously, with greater access to the content you want. But can I teach it to love? Links below for the best NordVPN deals around. Every month we have a ship giveaway, and for September, that's for the Drake Corsair, that fantastic exploration ship. Not only will you be able to explore the verse with it, but the ship is perfectly competent at a huge range of gameplay, and is a fantastic mission-running ship. You can use it for cargo, you can put some vehicles in there. It's reasonably good in a fight, one of the true multi-role, multi-crew ships. To be in for a chance of winning one of those, just comment on any of my videos made during the month. More details down below. Also down below are links to be able to support the channel more. There's the join button, making you one of my elite channel members. You'll get occasional exclusive content. There's also YouTube badges and emotes to show your support. There's also Patreon for those of you that prefer that. We try to mirror the rewards on there as well. But just people liking, subscribing, and sharing these videos goes a long way. A heartfelt thank you to everyone that watched the video. I hope you have a great September, and I'll see you in the verse.